Hi, this is Bobby Brown, and welcome to another fucking podcast.
You kids with your loud music and your Dan Fogelberg, your Zima, hula hoops, and Pac-Man video games, don't you see? People today have attention spans that can only be measured in nanoseconds.
See, son, old legends never die. They just lose weight.
Like a legend and an out-of-work bum with a lot of life.
Hello, you crazy dirt fucker!
Party time! Yes, it is party time. Hello, world. Hello, Las Vegas. And hello, our loyal minions. It is good to see you, and always good to be seen after a couple weeks. Actually, it's been almost like a month or something like that, I think. But hey, we're back. We told you we weren't going anywhere. I'm Izzy Presley, and this is Metal Edge Magazine presents another effing podcast. With me, as always, is the Metal Edge man himself, Mr. Paul Gargano. Good day.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well.
Good.
We can
Good.
catch up on the last month later. We won't bore Jeremy with all that.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff we're gonna have to get into at some point with Creatures Fest and everything that's been going on lately. But we'll get to that soon. We have a guest of the hour, Mr. Jeremy Popoff from Lit is with us, because Lit has a brand new record called Tastes Like Gold, which came out on Friday, which is really fucking good. And I ran into Jeremy. We opened up for him and Lit at the Corolla Family Barbecue. And fucking it all worked out. Timing was perfect, so here he is. Welcome back, sir.
Well, thanks, man. It was good to see you yesterday? Day before yesterday? Saturday,
Yeah,
whatever day
Saturday.
We played House of Blues the night before that, so I think we were still on one when we saw you.
I was about to say, you probably saw him like one hangover ago.
Yeah, that was a couple hangovers ago. But that was fun, man. How badass was that car collection that Adam Carolla had?
Dude, so killer. It's so killer. So killer. Because Carolla's like, he's got all his Paul Newman race cars that were actually Paul Newman's.
It's like one of those car collections that you, like, when you see it and then he gives you the tour and tells you the story, it's really cool and fascinating. But if you just happen to, like, stumble upon the collection, you may not even know what the hell's in there. You know, it's not like, hey, here's my Ferrari and here's my Maserati and here's my whatever. So it's just really cool. Like, you see all these old Datsuns, you know, with Paul Newman's name on it, and just, I don't know, man. It's a really, it's the epitome of man cave. Couches everywhere, a big screen for football, like just. Like,
yeah.
When you say Datsuns, I just think of little dogs. I just think of wiener dogs. That's how not a car guy I am. I'm thinking this little like wiener dogs running around with Paul Newman's salad dressing shirt.
My mom used to have a Datsun 280Z when I was like 14. I used to steal that thing all the time. You could start it with a screwdriver.
Like any good
I
old
need
school
some
car.
tequila. I'm tequilaing. Hold on one second.
Oh, you're tequila. The night I'm not drinking, Paul is drinking.
Yeah, make me work on a holiday.
Well, God
This was
damn
supposed
it.
This was supposed to be the day I got to like clean the house.
All right, well,
So
I'll
I got
tell
to
you
stop
what.
in the middle and.
Well, damn it, Paul, I've got 10 middle fingers and Michelob Golden Light in the fridge, so I am going to go get a Michelob Golden Light, so I do not feel left out. God damn it.
I've got tequila and beer, so I'm in good shape for this one.
Whose platinum record is that hanging down at like Dog's level?
Oh, we went through this last time. That is.
I have an answer. I have an answer on
you have
that,
an
Paul.
answer now? Okay.
So, it did get put in my pile of stuff when I was moving by accident. I did ask Matt about it, and Matt said I could keep it. It is a Motley Crue Girls, Girls, Girls platinum record, but it's not an actual platinum record.
Yeah.
It is from The Dirt. It was a prop in the movie The Dirt.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And Matt's like, I just don't have anywhere to put it. Go ahead, take it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll give it a good home.
I'm just gonna go out. That's not really what Matt. That's not your best imitation. That's
No,
not
I
what
know.
Matt
I know
Larson
it's not.
sounds
I know.
like. All right, what do you have?
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. I'm doing Arizona's finest, Four Peaks Brewery, Kilt Lifter.
So
the Tito's and soda with some fresh squeezed grapefruit juice.
there you
Nice.
go. I might even have one of my new shots that I made at some point, but we'll get there later. I am lucky enough to have Michelob Golden Light. No. Well, I need that too. But I am lucky enough to have Mick Golden Light. Unfortunately, I had to go back to Minnesota on Friday because my mom had a stroke, and then fly back to get to the show on Saturday. But one of the bonuses of going to Minnesota is I can get my Mick Golden Light and bring it back. So cheers.
So you basically had a 50-pound suitcase filled with 49
32.
pounds worth of
32 pounds.
32 pounds.
32 pounds. All that was in there was beer and ass wipes. Because you never travel without ass wipes.
All right. All right. On that note, tastes like gold.
Tastes like gold.
Yeah, speaking of gold.
So the album came out on Friday. So like, you said you played the House of Blues in Anaheim on Friday, and I saw Thomas Ian Nicholas from the American Pie movies was there. Was that like the record release show, or was that just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we it was kind of. I think we had the Adam Carolla thing booked even like way before that, and we knew the album was going to come out in June. We didn't know it was actually going to be on that same day, but House of Blues was available, so we were like, it just made sense. Our old hometown stomping grounds, and so.
Son of a bitch.
And it was a blast.
Recording in progress.
Oh, now you're recording it?
Well, the video at least. I'm glad I remember. It's been a month. Well, that's okay. The broadcast.
Forget everything we just talked about. It's all starting from right.
Oh no,
now.
the audio's there.
Okay, gotcha. I still don't know how to do Zoom. I still don't know what any of this shit means.
It's
every time I do one is like the first time.
This is why I make the argument we should never do live ones, by the way. But hey. Oh, and because I can't also be available every Monday, so that's the next reason.
Yeah, right. So, anyways,
so you're playing Fullerton, House of Blues.
No, we played there. Thanks for
Anaheim, House of Blues. I'm sorry, Anaheim. You're in Fullerton, but you played Anaheim.
Played Anaheim.
I'm keeping up.
Friday night, it was packed. It was awesome. We pulled out all kinds of bells and whistles and moving shit and smoke machines and things, and just nice. A new backdrop, new stuff. We had Blame My Youth, who is just a band that we love, that we discovered, like they came out during COVID and we were just cranking their stuff all the time. And if you haven't heard that song, fantastic. It's a fucking banger. I mean, it's super, one of my favorite songs that's come out probably in the last 2 or 3 years. And we just hit them up. We're like, you dudes doing anything on the 17th? And so they were there. They were awesome. A band called Nights Like Thieves played, and they won. We did a local band contest to see who would open the show. We had about 50 or so submissions. And we told bands like, hey, make us a 30-second or less video, and just, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be playing anything or doing anything. We just have to watch it and go, fuck yeah, we want those guys on the show. And these guys did, and they killed it. And then we did a vote thing, and they crushed the votes. And so that was super cool. And then Chad Tepper was on there as well. So it was just a badass night. I mean, we looking out in the crowd and just recognizing like 50% of the room.
Yeah.
Cause it's been, we opened and closed the original Anaheim House of Blues.
Oh, wow.
We did a total of 10 shows there over the course of 10 years. And then when they closed it down and moved it, we hadn't played the new one yet. So it was cool, man. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, so that was your first time playing the new one?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I saw you there at a Blackberry Smoke show, but you didn't play that night. I'm like, I know I've seen you there, but that was drinking there, not performing there. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen a handful of shows there, but I just hadn't played it yet, though.
What was it like being back after fleeing for finer states?
Weird.
Weird.
It's good to see old friends, and it's good to see family members, and just it's good to see familiar faces. Mm-hmm. But everything looks different out here. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I just got used to Tennessee now, or if it's always looked like this. But I just look around. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening around here?
Yeah.
But
that's. I mean, I don't know about Anaheim, because getting down to Anaheim is. I think I make it to Nashville more than I make it to Anaheim. But LA has just changed completely in the last. I mean, just from COVID on. Even if you left like at the beginning of COVID and just came back. I mean, it's pretty much the whole homeless camp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally wherever you go, it's a homeless camp here now. So I don't know what it's like down in Anaheim, but
it's not just that. It's also just like everything is dead. You know, people's lawns are brown and trees are dead and everything's kind of just dusty and dirty and needs paint jobs. And I don't know. It just, I feel like there's a filter on me at all times, you know, like a brown filter. I think on Instagram, it's called like fucking, it's called like whatever. Iraq.
crap.
It's called Iraq.
It's right. It's the poop filter, but
It's good to be here. It was good. You know, honestly, it really didn't make, it made perfect sense to do our album release party in Anaheim. I think pretty much done every record that's ever come out. We've done an album release party here in Orange County. So it's always going to be home base, you know, where it all started.
I mean, this album it's a very, very true to who Lit are. And I know you guys, you kind of dipped your toes in some country waters a bit there. You've kind of explored some different avenues, but this is really, I mean, anyone that loves those early Lit albums is going to just adore this record. Is it different getting into that like Southern California pop punk mindset when you're in Tennessee? Is it hard to get your toe out of that country water?
Well, I mean, my toe's still in that country water. I mean, I love country music. I love writing country music. I think that after the last record came out, These Are the Days, it was one of those things where like it came out and we were like, oh shit, maybe we should have called that something different. You know, maybe that wasn't, you know, a true Lit record, even though it was songs that AJ and I were writing and that we loved and that we were, you know, we sort of said, hey, let's record these and see what it sounds like with us doing them. And we thought it sounded, I mean, I love that record. I think it's a great record. I just feel like afterwards we were like, you know what, let's dial it back in and let's get back to what Lit means to so many people and what it means to us. And then, you know, and then COVID happens. And then, so now we're locked down. And in a lot of ways, you know, 24 years ago when we were, you know, we didn't have a tour scheduled. We were just, you know, we had our friends, we had our family, and we lived and breathed rock and roll. And we, you know, just sat around and played music and drank with our buddies. And then here we come full circle. COVID happens and we're sitting around drinking with our buddies with no tour dates on the calendar. So we kind of went back to our headspace that we were in, you know, 23 years ago. And we were able to just really, you know, focus on, it took a little while. It took a couple months of just, you know, listening to stuff, you know, on our playlists at home and trying stuff and just, and then once we kind of had a couple under our belt, it happened pretty quickly after that. Like we re-tapped into it and it just felt super natural. And we found a couple of young dudes that were actually got put together to write a song with them. Well, one of the guys, Carlo, actually got together to write a song with him a couple years ago. And it was him and I and a guy from The Voice. And we were in Nashville and we sat around for 3 hours. We didn't write shit because he was a big Lit fan, and all he wanted to do was talk about like, hey, well, what was it like with Pamela Anderson? What was this like? What was that like? Which is cool because I love sitting around shooting the shit and reminiscing. But we ended up doing that instead of writing, which was totally okay. It's not a high pressure situation for me. But he hit me up about 6 months later. He's like, dude, let's try that again, man. I think I got some ideas, whatever. And then he brought in Eric, who goes by Youth Year as his artist name, and we sat down and wrote 2 or 3 songs with them early. And we say COVID like it's BC or, you know, it's like, but you know, everybody knows what you're talking about.
It's before COVID.
Yeah. But, and we just started, and it was neat for us because here, you know, we could have gotten together with these veteran producers, veteran songwriters, whatever. And then we could have tried to explain to them what lit meant, 20 years ago. But instead, we found these two young dudes who grew up on lit, and now they're like establishing themselves as great songwriters, great producers. So it was like, hey, we influenced you 20 years ago when you were growing up, and now you get to influence us in return, and we get to make this record, and you get to help influence, like, what does a new lit record sound like to you as a lit fan that grew up on this stuff. And it was a really fun process to go through with those guys. And but yeah, I think we did what we tried to do,
So it's basically like Classic 78 writing the new Kiss record.
Exactly.
But I think that, I mean, there's been a lot of success with that. I mean, Motley, I love the Saints of Los Angeles record, and that was a record where they just pulled people in and said, what should Motley Crue sound like today? And I mean, I think there's really something to be said for that, because when you grab the same old producer you've worked with 3 times and you grab, and you just do things, you dial things in, it starts to sound a little tired and rote after a while. So,
well, it's a lot of, and you're guessing too, because, what is not to take anything away from some very established and successful producers, but it's like, what's a guy like our age going to bring fresh and new to the table versus a guy 20 years younger who literally is like on the cutting edge of like what's happening now, what's cool now, what's the technology is now, like I'm still playing through a Telecaster and a Marshall amp and a Boss overdrive pedal, so
yeah,
I plug in, my shit sounds exactly the same as it did 25 years ago. So we the new school of producers is teaching us new ways of doing, capturing that, but also adding other flavors and things so that it doesn't sound tired when it comes on the your iPhone or whatever you listen to on.
Yeah. So
the zhuzh, adding the zhuzh.
That's why it's important to work with producers.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and we're producers in our own right, but it is very helpful and very, it's an important part of the process. I mean, a lot of bands you can be very protective and close to the vest about your art, and especially when you're first starting out, you're like, fuck that, I'm not doing this, we're not using outside guys and whatever. And it's like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I get it. But like, you get to a point where you're like, it's fun to collaborate. It's fun to explore. And, what's the worst that's going to happen? You spend 6 hours in a room and you hate what you got. So that tomorrow's another day and you do it again. There's nothing to lose. We're always trying to push ourselves in that department and seeking that input and that influence or whatever. So,
I think that's something a lot of people forget too, because when you're in a band, when you're starting in a band, it's new and it's a new relationship, and you're learning each other at that point. You're learning how to work together, write together. After you've been in a band 20 years, 30 years, you're just tired. You need that fresh blood to make it exciting again. And that's not an insult to anyone else in the band. It's just, it makes life a lot easier artistically and more, because you're not dialing it in. You're not just doing what you know is safe.
Well, you also, this is going to sound really stupid, but you can be your own worst enemy in writing songs and making records, because you know too much after 30 years, and you start to second guess everything. And, and it's cool to hook up with some people that just don't follow any rules that you may have, learned along the way. So it helped. I mean, the record just came out Friday. I'm already excited to start writing the next one. I feel like we're in a groove right now, in a zone. And so, yeah.
Sorry about that. That was my phone.
All right.
And I'm afraid to answer that, because that is an artist that's on the road right now, which means something is going wrong.
You guys have Butch Walker on the record, on the Cars cover.
Yeah, he's a Tennessean now too. We're pretty much neighbors. We live about 20 minutes away from each other. We hang out with a lot of the same people in Leaper's Fork. And I was over at his house one night. The wives were gone. I think his wife and kid were out of town somewhere. Mine was out of town, and I just went over and we sat around listening to music and drinking wine. And I played him the cover, and I was like, you want to do some vocals in here, take the second verse? And He did. It came out great. You know, Butch has been involved. We've been friends for 20 plus years. And so I think he's had some fingerprint on every record we've done since Atomic. He's at least shown up and said hi somewhere on the record. And, you know, so that was cool. We had American Authors guys are on a song, a collab with us called Life That I Got. We had, and also on the one that on Let's Go, we did Let's Go from the Cars, and Butch is on there, but Jason Freeze is on there too from Green Day, and
yeah, Adrian from No Doubt, right?
Adrian from No Doubt is on Mouth Shut, which is our single right now, and the video comes out this week for that, and he's in the video with us, and yeah, I mean, we just, you know, when we're doing this stuff, we just sort of invite a few old friends to like pop in and throw a little something on there just for fun, you know.
So. How that whole Orange? Now you guys started. You started as a rock band. You didn't start as Lit. Back when you were what? Early '90s when you started. Late '80s.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Razzle, I think was 88, 89.
Yeah, so it was late '80s. You know, okay.
We were in high school still, and just playing the Sunset Strip. That was kind of our junior college, if you will, was the Sunset Strip. You know, we learned a lot, man, and we learned a lot in those days. And then we also was really fascinating to be kids in that world and to see. You know, we saw Warrant at the Troubadour, you know, before they had a record deal, and we used to go see Odin all the time, and
Odin.
And that's funny now. Odin, like Randy moved to Tennessee. I like to think I had a little influence on that. He came out to kick the tires on it, and he stayed right down the street from my house, and we hung out a bunch. We went out to dinner and all that, and then he would send me these real estate listings. He's like, "What about this one? What about that one?" And then he sent me one, and he bought a fucking really cool farm out in you know, about an hour from me, but he's been over the house a whole bunch. He helped me. He's really crafty and comes over and helps me build shelves and shit. And like every time he comes over, he brings grass-fed steaks, and we're cooking steaks in the living room. I'm like, you know, it's fucking weird. When I was 14, I'd go to the Roxy and watch you play, and your hair was blowing in the fan, and you're throwing roses all over the place. And now you're helping me build shelves. But yeah, just a fascinating time. You know, that we got to be these young impressionable kids that just got to see a bunch of shit go down. And then when you know, that scene sort of dried up a little bit, we were still young enough to kind of go like, okay, cool, that was fun, and now what are we gonna do? And then that's when we really started to come into our own and figure out who we were as musicians and who as a band, you know. And that's kind of was the birth of Lit in the, you know, early mid 90s.
When Michael Sweet from Striper was on, and they're Orange County, and he was talking about, like, you know, making those treks up to Sunset Strip and everything years before you. But was it, at what did you consider like the Sunset Strip more of your scene, or do you think you really got shaped by Orange County more when you're talking about like the bands like No Doubt and the stuff like that whole Orange County pop punk?
I mean, we liked all that stuff, and we were fans of No Doubt well before Tragic Kingdom. We were from Anaheim. They were from Anaheim. Sublime used to be a band that would always be playing in somebody's backyard back in those days. There was definitely a scene kind of bubbling over, whatever that.
Bubbling.
But we, you know, I've said this a bunch of times, but you know, there was really no scene in Orange County back then. Bands, they called it the Orange Curtain, you know, and bands. Remember when everyone had a hotline on their flyer?
Yes.
You know, like a phone number, call and go like, "Hey, this is the Lit hotline, and we're gonna be at the Troubadour, you know, 2 weeks from now. You want to buy tickets?" And it was like everyone would go and buy. They would get a 213 or a 310 voicemail hotline number, because if you had a 714, people would be like, "Ah, fuck, they're from fucking."
Yep.
And so, but we finally, I think it was probably about 93 or 94, we took over. That was when Leatherwolf was kind of not doing Leatherwolf anymore, and then they were doing Hail Mary for a minute, which was killer. And then they all kind of disbanded, and we took over their warehouse. and they had a stage and built and all that. And it was $600 a month, and it was tough to come up with that. You know, we would have to throw parties every month and get, you know, borrow someone's, you know, mom's credit card to get like a couple kegs of beer, you know, to throw a party. But that's how we paid our rent. And we just started to like focus on, let's just try to be the biggest band that we can try to be in like Anaheim, and let's just throw rad parties and work on our shit, you know. And that was kind of that was sort of our really formative. I mean, we were in that warehouse 4 or 5 nights a week for 4 or 5 hours a night, and that's just where we lived, you know. We held on to that for years and many years. I mean, we did the Atomic record, wrote that record in that warehouse. We wrote the Black album in that warehouse. I mean, you know, it became more of a dumping ground and storage unit for piles and piles of shit, but boxes and gear and merch and all that stuff. But yeah, you know, it's just weird if you look at it like chronologically, like when Rage Against the Machine came out, and when No Doubt came out, and when Sugar Ray came out, and Korn. Actually, everyone, you know, says Korn's from Bakersfield, but they broke out of Orange County. They were all living in Huntington Beach when they broke, and they were huge around here. But everybody sort of came out like a couple years apart from each other, and none of us really rolled together until like we all ran into each other, you know, at a festival in DC, or a festival in, you know, wherever. So we're much closer with a lot of those bands today than we ever were when we all lived here. I don't know if that answers a long-winded answer to your question. I don't know.
No, absolutely. I one of the things I loved about this record, and I think it's really hard to do, I mean, working with bands as closely as I do, we were talking earlier about just writing and how difficult writing can be for bands. What amazed me about this record was just how fresh it sounds, and it kind of has that feel of like, and you guys have always been good at this, it's just like really that excitement. It's like a new relationship, and like that's what your songs take you through, you know what I mean, where it's just like everything's fun and you want to be around somebody, and then you send the wrong text message in mouth shut, and you just kind of like, you go through the whole thing where it's just like, it's fresh and it's exciting, and you kind of capture that in the music, which I think is pretty remarkable, because at our age to be able to do that isn't easy. You're kind of like taking yourself into another headspace. Was that the younger guys that helped you do that, or was that like literally you and AJ, and were you guys literally just, is that second nature to you at this point?
Well, you know,
there was a long-winded question for your long-winded answer before.
Yeah, thank you. Let me try to
figure that one out. We're gonna figure that one out. We're all good.
You know, it was definitely, everybody had the input on that. When we would start writing a song, if we felt like we were overthinking it, we would stop, and we would go like, no, we're overthinking it. Or when we would throw a lyric out, sometimes somebody would go, we wouldn't have said that 20 years ago. And so then we would rethink it. And most often what we found was, if we just don't overthink it, it will come out more naturally and organically. And that's the way we did it 20 years ago when we didn't know too much, you know?
Yeah.
We've written thousands of songs since then. And, you know, you sit in these rooms with people, and you're always just trying to like outdo yourself. And it's like, fuck that. Sometimes you just need to go in and just write a cool song that you dig. And then that's probably the one that's going to stick out the most and be the most fun to play. And instead of one that's just so overly crafted and thought out, it's like, who the fuck has, you know, but it's, I bet you most songwriters would agree with that. Like, you can really just beat yourself over the head to the point of walking out with either no song or a shitty song.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, and then you turn the radio on, the number one song in the country is like fucking 3 chords and then 3 words, and you're just like, damn it. See?
Is there a part of it for you guys too? Because I know like a lot of the 80s bands went through this, you know, when they tried to change with the times in the 90s. And then once they got back to just doing what they do, we had this conversation with Rachel Bolan just about a month ago. It's like, what are we doing? It's like, dude, let's just write something that sounds like a fucking Skid Row record. Do you find that because of when you guys hit as compared to now that you're kind of going through the same thing. It's like that scene in Eddie and the Cruisers. They don't want this. They want On the Dark Side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that. There also is something to be said too about, you got to understand that artists most of us have ADD. We don't sit still very well. We don't, we're like, oh, fuck, shiny objects. Look at it. And so, and music is like that too. Like, we have to be allowed to fuck around and try other things and experiment and sometimes, fall on our faces when we do that. But if you don't let artists, if you think you get to just, put an artist in a fucking jar and put some leaves in there and some grass and a roly-poly, and then, put the lid on it and he's going to just be fine. It doesn't work, but I think at some point you as an artist, you get comfortable enough that you go, yeah, you know what, we can go back to what we were doing. We can dial this back in and be a little bit more true to form, I guess. But it's those years and those other times where you went off a different on ramp or off ramp or whatever, and you tried some shit out, and then I mean, sometimes you got to leave home to realize that you miss home.
Right.
So
are you saying you miss Anaheim?
Not at all.
Not at all.
So you're not going to move back and open up Slide Bar again?
No, I won't be coming back here anytime soon.
I used to love Slide Bar.
Hey man, I love it. And it was, no matter where I go, I mean, I could be on the other side of the world. It could be in another country. It can be, it's amazing to me. I'd be in Nashville. There's big country stars that have played there. It's amazing to me, the impact that it had on people and the bands that went through there, the talent that went through there. People met there, fell in love there, got married there. Kids were born. There's kids to this day that call me Uncle Jeremy that were born.
I was waiting for you to say their kids were born there, and I'm just picturing like just this kid just like sliding out like in one of the side stages.
Just like on a bar mat, fucking next to the Jaeger machine. No, it's a really. I'm really proud that we were able to be a part of people's lives like that, whether it's music or a bar restaurant like that. We were kind of like the rainbow or the
I was just gonna say you were the rainbow and the whiskey combined down for Orange County. I mean, that's what you were. The problem was Uber didn't exist back then, so you had to have one person that could always drive you home, and that's where things got sketchy.
Yeah, well, I lived right up the street, so it was easy for me. I just grab a security guard and go, "Hey, man, drive me home real quick." And
I think we ended up at your place once or twice.
A lot of people wound up at my place.
Car in the front yard. Yeah,
we would stop it.
In the front yard.
What's funny is AJ's here right now, and we were coming over to our friend's house, and he was like, I'm going to go over to Mocha Salsa. Mocha Salsa, I don't know if you remember, Paul, but that was the Mexican place that was open 24 hours.
Yes.
We would leave the Sly Bar, and we would go there and get like $50 worth of taquitos and burritos and hot sauce. And we'd go back to my house, and we'd keep drinking and eat all that shit. And then I wake up the next morning, and it was just like smelled like a Mexican restaurant. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And that was a lot of nights.
Yeah.
But hey, hold on a second. I got to plug this in. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So now me and Paul just look at each other.
We need hold music now. Like in Blues Brothers when they're riding the elevator.
Yeah. But Paul, ironically, I don't know if you know this, but that elevator music is in the intro.
I did not know that because you know what? I have never listened to the intro of this show. I usually tune out after Bobby Brown. Oh, wow.
Wow.
There's nowhere to go but down after Bobby Brown. You know what? That came out the wrong way. But once I hear Bobby Brown, I just tune out until you tell me it's time to start talking.
Okay, well, that's all right. Well, that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. God forbid. But it's not actually it's the music bed coming out of the intro, and it plays for like 30 seconds. So I'm talking over it for 30 seconds.
So you're
It's
telling
just
me I
in
have
the
to
back.
actually listen to the podcast? Is what you're telling
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
Damn
absolutely,
it!
absolutely.
It's bad enough.
Oh,
It's bad enough. I have to like fake my way through it. I got to listen to it now too.
yeah, you're gonna have to listen to it eventually sometimes. Kyle Youngguns is in the house, and Scotty from Canada. Oh, let's because I just watched this movie last night. Here you go, Scotty. There you go.
You watched
You just
the
watched
Ozark?
that last night?
I watched it last night. Yeah.
Wow. I started Stranger Things last night.
Ah, how's that going for
You don't look very
No,
enthused.
I don't have Netflix.
You have no feelings. Oh, okay, that's why.
And I only had Hulu so I could watch Scrubs.
Okay.
But now I've got all these 3-2 Colorado, Tampa Bay 3, Colorado 2. If anybody's wondering the score of the game 4 of the hockey Stanley Cup final right now.
This guy's not.
Yeah, I know Scotty's probably got it on.
Awesome.
If you
Thanks,
see
dude.
me, speaking of ADD, if you see me turn, hockey.
Hey, speaking of Stranger Things and Blackberry Smoke, you mentioned earlier, Britt's daughter is on that show.
No way.
Britt Turner's daughter, Lana Turner, is I think she plays. I don't watch the show. I probably will when I get some time, but I think she's number 7. Does that make sense?
I'll have to look it up. We just started the latest season last night, so we're two episodes in. But I'll look it up. I'll look it up before we watch 3.
So Kyle,
it's a good show, and like honest, it's a great show. They captured the '80s phenomenally, and the soundtrack's incredible. I mean, the music, you're just like, oh, this is awesome. So
I remember I don't know why I didn't stick with it too long, but when it first came out, I watched the first like 2 or 3 episodes, and it reminded me of E.T., like the kids all riding around on BMX bikes in like the subdivision of like Diamond Bar, California, or whatever. It was like
absolutely
it had that vibe to it.
It absolutely does, absolutely. But it's good. It's one we've actually stuck through because we're notorious for getting like 4 or 5 episodes in, then having like 4 shows in a row, and then just forgetting we started the show and never watching it again. So this one's one we've actually stuck with. So that says a lot.
Oh, Paul, really quick. I did 3 Sides of the Coin. We recorded it last week. It comes out this week, talking about the Kiss Museum that is open now here in Vegas. So Jeremy, next time you come up here, we got to go to the Kiss Museum. I put out the invite to Mark and Mike and Tommy to do the next Drunken Summit, which would be torture and fun.
It's going to be tonight if I keep drinking.
Yeah, there you go. It's going to be fucking Sonic Boom versus Monster.
Okay, I'll be watching Stranger Things while you guys nerd out and touch yourselves.
Oh no,
over 2 albums I never have to listen
painful.
to again in my life.
It's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. Jeremy, really quick, Kyle from Arizona won to. So you're talking about the Orange County bands. He goes,
Hi, Kyle.
What about the Offspring?
Offspring, I left those out of that equation for some reason. They're good friends of ours. Love those guys. They were on our podcast. Noodles was on the My Worst Enemy podcast. Said a lot of great things, and we've always looked up to them. And great band and great guys. They took us on really our first world tour back in '99. We were on tour with them. I think the first show was at Irvine Meadows, which was where we grew up going to concerts, and so that was a big thrill for us to get to finally play there, where we had always dreamed of playing. And they took us all around the country, and then they took us to Europe, and we did Europe with them. We did Woodstock with them, and they're just great dudes. I mean, I was texting Dexter just the other day and sent him a copy of the record and all that, and great dudes.
And ironically, they're the ones that played the Corolla Family Barbecue last year.
Yeah, that's what we were told. They did like an acoustic deal.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I'm not a big Offspring guy, but I really enjoyed the show. So
You never got it. I always got. You know what? I don't know why. You know, I know how it happened. I think it was No Doubt, actually, honestly, because I got super into No Doubt, but I always loved, or it meant something for me if you were from Orange County. It was that was like, that meant something to me, and I think it meant as much to me as the Sunset Strip did at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like all those Orange County bands. I love those Orange County bands.
There was a time,
but I was a pop guy too. I got into pop music before I got into rock music. So it's like, I think there's a very big aesthetic in Orange County where people appreciated pop and they kind of blended it into everything else they did.
I think it's also interesting that if you look at that list of bands that we've been talking about, no two sound anything alike.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, if we're honest with each other, in the Sunset Strip days back in the day, everybody sounded very much alike in a lot of ways. Like not the ones that really stood out, but like, you know, there was 4 bands at the Roxy, 4 bands at the Whiskey, 4 bands at Troubadour, 4 bands at Kazari's. You know, that's a shit ton of bands on one night, and they all looked the same and sounded the same, and had the same color flyers and blah blah. And I think that's one of it got kind of homogenized and you know, that was probably part of its own doom, you know, but you know, but there's something happened around 98, 99 when, like you said, you heard Orange County and you were like, oh, what's going on there? But 2 years before that, it was like Orange County. Oh, fuck that. Especially with record companies. Like, you couldn't get arrested if you were from Orange County by, you know, record companies. A&R guys would be quicker to hop on an airplane and go to Milwaukee to see who the biggest band in Milwaukee before they'd come to Anaheim and see who's selling out, you know, Club 369 in Fullerton or whatever. So something definitely shifted after a few people persevered or whatever. But it was really an interesting, like, to think about it now. Back then, like, literally have to lie and pretend like you were from Los Angeles when you were from frickin' Newport Beach. And
well, you were from like 25 miles away.
Yeah. But
well, the one thing I will say for people that haven't seen you live, because you were one of the first bands I saw coming out of COVID, because you did the Rock Fest at Rocktember. Was it Rocktember or Rocktober?
Rocktember. It was my birthday.
Rocktember. It was Rocktember. Okay. It was in Hinckley, but you guys, you played. You were one of the headliners. Striper was on it. I'm trying to think. I had Hurricane on it. That's why I was there. But you guys were amazing. And you guys, one thing you've always done that I've just really appreciated is you've kept that rock aesthetic in, where if anybody who was a rock fan growing up and knew nothing about lit, within a song, they're going to be like, holy shit, this band's amazing. And I think that was, when you talk about everybody from Orange County being a little bit different, I feel like that's the badge you guys just have worn really, really effectively, just being the rock band. You know, you have that Orange County sound, you have that Orange County flavor, but at the end of the day, you're a rock band, and you own it, and you do it really, really well still. So,
well, thanks, man.
No problem. You can send me the chat. You know where I live. You can send the chat.
It hurts more now.
It hurts, yeah, exactly.
I mean,
doing the big rock pyramid hurts. You're like, oh.
AG's been like stepping on weird areas of my leg lately, and I keep needing to talk to him about that. I'm like, fuck, dude. It's like the thigh. Step on my thigh. Stop stepping on my kneecap. I don't know how many more miles I got on that fucking thing.
The big rock. That there.
We came from that school, man. That's our. You know.
Yeah.
We weren't influenced by like shoegazers and you know, depressing music. We were influenced by fucking sweaty rock stars that were running all over the damn place, and that's the school we went to. So like, you know, we don't, and you know, when we got to play that show with Striper and LA Guns, and you know, it's funny too that Slide Bar too ended up becoming, especially in the later years of Slide Bar, we became kind of home base for a lot of those bands, and we were fortunate enough to have a ton of them. I mean, and it was always a big thrill, you know, to be able to be a place where, you know, Enough's Enough, or, you know, LA Guns, or Pretty Boy Floyd, or you know, Lynch Mob, or whatever would come through, and they knew they're going to get taken care of, fed, drunk if they wanted to get drunk. You know, I had a building next door. I would only open up to like bands I liked, and I'd always let them have at it. And it became a family sort of friendly place for those, you know, 80s, early 90s bands, and of course some punk bands and everything else. But I love that we found this, like, tapped into this little niche where we became the Orange County headquarters of that, and it was really fun and cool. But that's and to be able to play, like, you know, Rock Timber and be with those bands and be with those fans. I mean, we've been saying this for years. When we came out in '99, if you go and even Paul, I don't know when the first time we were in Metal Edge was, but I guarantee you, we were waving the flag.
Absolutely.
Of Metal Edge, of heavy metal, and we've always worn that flag and worn it proudly. And I think that for us, it was important to, at some point, introduce ourselves to that audience and that fan base, because we are that fan base. So we are that crowd. And so to be able to do the Monsters of Rock cruise and Rock Timber, for us, it's a thrill just to be able to meet dudes that we grew up listening to, but also, and share the stage with them, but also get a chance to hopefully, you know, win over some of those fans, because some of those fans, I think at first are like, fucking lit, fuck that, you know. And then they see us and they go, holy shit, man, they're fucking one of us, and they love these bands as much as we do. And now I get it. Like, I get what they're doing is like what, you know, we talked about earlier about, like, what does lit sound like to these, you know, younger generation of writers and producers. It's like, well, guess what, guys, you all influenced us too, and this is what we got from it, you know. I mean, if you take everything away from lit, if I literally just play a couple of chords, I mean, dude, I bought my main Marshall, I bought it from fucking Carrie from Leatherwolf. It's the it's the amp that is like the intro for The Calling, you know. That's my sound. When people are like, how do you get that sound? I'm like, you ever listen to fucking Dawkins?
Yeah.
It's the same shit. It was not cool when I first came out with it. People were like, oh, you need to use a big muff and sound more like Smashing Pumpkins. And I'm like, no, dude.
No, I don't.
I can't play Unchained the Night with a fucking big muff. But
yeah, right. Hey, before we move on, I did want to ask you, the cover of the record is fucking really, really cool. And it looks like something that one of my buddies, Kai Arens, would do. Was he the one that did the artwork?
No, actually, Kevin, our bass player, shot the picture.
Okay.
We knew what we wanted, and we found some stock images, but then we were like, man, let's just shoot it and make it our own. And the girl, she was actually at our House Blues show the other night, an old friend of ours, Megan, and she actually has a glittery makeup company out of Los Angeles, and it just always stuck in my head, like, wow, she's got great lips, you know. And so we just hit her up. I was like, hey, you want to do this thing? I kind of sent her a couple of examples, and then she came out to Orange County, and not only did she pose for the cover, but then she came back down like a month later and did all the lyric videos with Kevin.
Oh, wow. Badass.
So all those lyric videos that are out now for the record is her, and it's just sort of it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Right. And people don't know the name Kai Arens. They might know it from the band Flip. He was Chia Karaoke in Flip, and I know you guys toured with Flip back in the day too.
I don't know if we toured with him, but I know we definitely played. We've definitely played together before.
Yeah. So I saw he liked it. I'm like, maybe he fucking did that, and the connection was there.
I mean, since we decided to go for that mouth, like iconic, like mouth thing, I've noticed there's a lot of variations of it out there.
Yeah.
That's another reason why we wanted to really shoot it ourselves and make it
yours,
a little different, make it our own. But yeah, we wanted something sexy and iconic and kind of almost like disco era, if you will.
No, it came through. It came through.
Thanks,
It's
man.
fucking killer. So Kyle wants to know, he goes, hey, ask Lit how they feel about this. Is pop punk becoming the new age to dad rock?
The new age dad rock. Kyle, can you elaborate on that?
I think because all the probably the generation that was into that when it came out, we're all dad. They're all dads now.
Well, I mean, listen, I think sure, but also it's also the kid rock of today. Machine Gun Kelly and Mod Sun and a lot of the stuff you hear on the radio right now is the new version of the late 90s and early 2000s alternative rock. It's peppered in with some other bells and whistles and flavors, but that's awesome. But they took the foundation that a lot of us laid and they're running with it, and that's killer. In fact, like Chad Tepper was with us at House of Blues the other night. He's part of that up and coming wave of the next generation of artists that's gonna wave the flag that, like, what back when we were just saying how we used to wave the 80s flag in the late 90s. That there's kids out there now that are going to take over rock and roll, and they're going to wave that flag, and it's not so much I mean, it's just math, and it's just the way the calendar works. I mean, we're next. The 90s are next. It's just how it is, and so so sure, dad rock,
take it.
Hey, I like being a dad. It's cool.
And you know what? We all get smarter the older we get. I think we all get smarter the older we get. So I think we get better musical taste too. Because there's shit I hated 20 years ago that I love now. So I think and I have a dog, so I'm a dad.
There you go. Well, and you're a motherfucker, so that's kind of like dad.
You know what? I had never heard that before yesterday, and I got hit with it. You're the fourth time I've heard that now. And literally in about 24 hours, I heard motherfucker the first time. Well, I've heard motherfucker, but never applied to Father's Day.
Yeah.
So,
well, welcome.
Yeah, well, here I am. I guess here we go. You said you mentioned sexy before. So it's the segue. I'm going to jump on it. I know I've asked you about it before, but people that listen to the podcast probably don't know the story. What was it like working with Pam Anderson? You were very fortunate. You got to work with a couple big people. You were the Pam Anderson video. You had Snider in a video with you. What was that like?
Izzy's like, fuck off, I'm out.
No, Izzy needs more beer. Izzy's an alcoholic.
I need a beer and I'm gonna get a shot.
Pam was incredible to work with. She was an absolute sweetheart, and a lot of people don't know this because I don't think a lot of people saw the episode, but you can Google it. It's out there somewhere. But she had the show VIP that was on after Baywatch. And it started out, they wanted to use a song, and then they wanted to use 2 songs, and then 3 songs. Then they wrote an entire episode about Lit. And like AJ gets kidnapped, and she saves him, and he makes the show. And it's like this whole thing. And so we were literally on the set of her TV show for a week. And it was during that time we were looking at treatments for the Miserable video, and the record company kept representing this idea of us walking around on this giant model in a bikini, and we were just like, dude, that is so stupid. We're not fucking doing it. And I really wanted to make, and the whole band actually really wanted to make a Wanted Dead or Alive. Tour buses rolling in, slow motion, sweat, fucking girls lifting up their shirts. We wanted to show people what we had been living for the last, year. And the label was like, no, that nobody's watching those anymore. MTV doesn't play those anymore. And then like 3 weeks later, Kid Rock's video came out, which was exactly that.
Exactly that, yeah.
Fuck, dude, look. And but on the set of VIP, Pam was walking by, and I was sitting in the trailer on the cell phone, probably this big.
Satellite phone.
And I go, and I just remember going, there's no fucking way we're making that video. Stop sending the treatment. We're not fucking doing it. And I'll tell you what, you can get Pamela Anderson to be the fucking giant woman. we'll do the video. And then there was kind of like this pause, and they go, we'll call you back. And then the next morning, she walked into the makeup room, and we're all sitting in the chairs, and she goes, and she was just super bubbly and sweet. You know, she's come in, she goes, I'm going to be in your guys' video. And I'm like, oh, well, here we go. And thank God the label was so on that concept, because we shot it down right out of the gate. We wanted nothing to do with that treatment. And then it just kept, it was like all the stars just sort of aligned. And the craziest thing about that video was it exposed us to an entirely different audience. Like, we were on Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood. We were on TV in Japan. We were on TV all over the world, because she was such an international icon that it exposed us to an audience that we wouldn't have been exposed to if we would have just debuted it on TRL.
Right.
I mean, you guys became pop culture. You became a part of pop culture at that point. I mean, you literally. She looked so incredible in that video. It was really like her just like coming into her own and just being iconic. If you watch, what's that? There's like a behind the music type of thing, but it's not behind the music. But they did one on her, and they showed clips of that video all throughout this special, because that was just like, in her prime, just killing it. And and then a year later, we were on tour with Kid Rock, and that's when they were together. And she would always come backstage and say hi and hang out with us. And she was just very, very sweet. And our album, we had been on tour for a whole over a year straight. The album had killed it and was on the charts and went platinum and all this. And then it kind of went off the charts. And that video came out and went blip, 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 came back on the charts. And was like, got back into like the 30s. And then it was literally on the Billboard charts for like 2 years. And a lot of it was because of that crazy ass video, So, and until this record, it's probably my favorite Lit lyric and one of my favorite lyrics of all time, because it's just, sometimes you hear stuff and you go, how did nobody think of that first? Like, how had nobody, you make me come, you make me complete, you make me completely miserable. It's like basically every relationship on the planet in a nutshell, like just, but it's like, it's genius, and no one had done it before. And it was just like, oh my God. And I was telling somebody today, I was like, the great thing about Lit to me is just the lyrics. I mean, the lyrics are just, you listen to these lyrics and there's just always stuff that just rattles around your head. And I love that. And that song was a great example of that.
Somebody just, 5 Seconds of Summer or whatever has I don't follow them, but I heard a song on the radio the other day and I was like, what the fuck? Like, they totally ripped it off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do
you take that as a compliment or do you get pissed?
It depends. Does he get paid?
That's a good point.
There was a girl, I don't know why she ended up not putting it out. Kalani, she's a pop, pop star. And she cut it. Her verses were her own, but the chorus was the chorus of Miserable, and she just had her own spin on it. And and we would have got paid on that one. I mean, obviously we we have the publishing on it. You can't just like steal it. Yeah. 5 Seconds of Summer just stole the idea, and then they made it their own, I guess. I mean, we've never sued anybody, but a lot of bands have ripped off our lyrical twists and ideas or whatever. We just it's flattering. It's also like, I wish they would have just called us and said, hey, you guys want to write a song with us? We're big fans. It's like, no one's going to hear that song and go, oh yeah, they never heard Miserable before. Like,
exactly.
But whatever, it's all good. Like, I'm going to start coming through their records to see what I can rip off.
Yeah, right.
The one on the new record I love is Mouth Shut, because like every other line in Mouth Shut, I'm like, oh yeah, done that, been there, done that, been there, done that.
It is shot time.
And we made it. We made a conscious effort to not talk about politics, not talk about viruses, not talk about any of that shit. But inevitably, little bits leak in here and there, and that was our little nod to cancel culture and
cancel culture, yeah.
And also, sending the wrong chick the wrong text or whatever.
Scotty from Canada says, Jeremy, am I crazy? Are there two versions of the Ziploc video? I swear there was one with a topless gal swimming.
Yeah, there was a adult rated version of it that I think only aired on the Playboy channel back in the day.
Oh, wow.
I just learned something.
And I've never seen that one. That would be awesome. I would love to see it.
It's got to be somewhere. I'm just going to be let's see. You guys amuse yourself for a minute. I will find it. Hold on. Let's see. We can share it. We can share it on the Zoom Ziploc video.
Find it. I mean, I know they aired something on the Playboy channel, and I remember being there and seeing the girls, especially on the whipped cream pole, and they got topless and they were fighting each other with inflatable noodles or whatever, because that's what girls do.
Exactly.
That's all girls do. All girls do that all the time.
They get shaving cream on a pole and then they start hitting each other with stuff. I mean, I don't
know. No, Amy. It's really funny that this came up ahead of you. I'm seeing the official one, but I'm not finding an uncensored one.
Well, do you have your parental controls on?
Look up X-rated.
Well, of course. I got to
let the porn king get a look here.
I got to make sure Tito is not like looking at the wrong things on my computer.
Maybe D. Snider had it taken down.
He would be like, "That's not me." And that's because he was in that video, right?
Yeah. That was
so Chris.
I wrote the treatment for that video, and in the treatment, I was like, "We're going to recreate the Twisted Sister video. Only D. Snider's going to play the part of the dad."
The dad.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant.
I'd never met D. Snider before. I didn't even know where he lived or I just wrote that in the treatment, and I was like, "That's what's going to happen." And then they're like, "Oh yeah, he's in." I'm like, "Wait, what?" I was just kidding.
What? So you got to start shooting high. You said that about D. You got D. You said it about Pam. You got Pam.
Yeah.
You got to use this to your advantage. You got to say you want like Izzy in your next video. Look, Izzy's like, what?
Izzy would be happy to be in the next video.
D was awesome. I ended up becoming.
Jeremy's like, this thing isn't working. I think this thing is our connection's weak.
Good.
Well, so D was what were some of your favorite bands from the 80s? Who were some of the ones that you grew up? I know you've done one of our drunken summits with us. Were you on Bon Jovi versus Hysteria? Am I right? Was it New Jersey versus Hysteria?
Oh yeah.
That's right.
You were on that podcast.
I mean,
I think I might actually vote differently this time.
Would you?
By the way. Yeah, I think I might.
Man,
I'm on a major Def Leppard kick right now, though. Like, I'm on an insane Def Leppard kick. After seeing them at the Whiskey, I can't even. I'm on such a. I don't even think we've done a podcast since I saw Def Leppard.
No, we haven't.
Yeah. Oh no! Ever since Def Leppard at the Whiskey, I'm just like, they're just the top of the mountain for me right now.
Well, I mean, they're such an incredible band, and they're the sweetest guys I've met.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I haven't met Rick, but I've met Vivian. I met Rick on the Monsters of Rock cruise. He came to our show, and someone told me, a security guard told me that he was watching our show and that he was really stoked on it. And then he had his art gallery, and we did the signing meet and greet thing. And then afterwards, I went into his art show, and he was just in there hanging out, like talking to a couple people, and people signing some shit. People bought paintings and whatever, and I introduced myself, and he was just so fucking nice and so complimentary of the band. And then also AJ and I wrote with Phil Collin probably about eight or 9 months ago. He lives here in Orange County, and we were in Nashville, but we wrote over Zoom. I mean, he just couldn't be a nicer, sweeter guy. I mean, and I did a show in England 20 years ago. It was a talk show that was on at night, and it was me and Joe Elliott. And during the commercial breaks, he just would lean over and would just talk about how much he loved our record, and And I'm like, dude, first song I ever learned on guitar was Let It Go and Wasted. Like,
oh, wow.
So love those guys. I mean, I had On Through the Night and High and Dry. Still have both of them on vinyl. The original vinyl I had when I was a kid. I wore those records out.
Are you a big vinyl guy or not really?
I have a ton of it. I only have maybe about 150 of them like on display in my living room, but I have all those old records that I grew up on in the 80s are all in there in my living room. And they're the original ones. I've been hauling them around. I've probably moved 17 times, and
I'll tell you what, the one thing that makes me, because I pretty much loathe LA, the one thing that makes me tolerant of LA is the thought of having to move all my vinyl. I'm like, you know what? If I stay here, I don't have to pack and move all the vinyl.
Not that hard, dude.
It's not that hard. Not. Jeremy's like, wait, let me tell you how to do this. It's not that hard.
It's not.
And
hey, look, and you just got some new vinyl on Saturday with the Smoke and Kills record, which you can get at smokeandkills.com.
That's right.
I will do a shameless plug right here, right now. The lit vinyl for Tastes Like Gold is on sale. It went on sale today in the Metal Edge store. Comes out July 1st.
Oh shit! Awesome.
It is on sale today at the Metal Edge store. So if you go to metaledgemag.com, click on shop. It is in there, and it is it's the cheapest I've seen it anywhere. I will say that. That one's the black vinyl. There's only black and gold, right?
So far, yeah.
So far, okay. I literally went to do the gold one, and then when I saw how much they were charging for shipping, I was like, yeah, like the shipping on the gold one was insane. It was like $12 to ship, and I'm like, come on. I was like, I love lit, but I don't know, I can pay him $45.
I'll bring you one. Well, now that you own your own vinyl plant, I mean, you can just
exactly. So here's the thing. So now all you got to do is just say what color you want, and Metal Edge can do it for you.
Yeah, I know.
It was like, but yeah, now that gold one looks awesome. That gold one, and there's only 200 of those, right?
I think so, and I don't know if there's any left or not. I ordered.
Yeah, there is because I was like, oh. But here's what I did. I went, okay, if I'm going to buy one and it's $11 shipping, I'll see what it is if I buy two or three, because the shipping. You just got to get smart about that stuff, and then have multiple copies.
Gotcha.
And then the next time Izzy's at my house at 5 a.m, I could go, oh, leave with this and hand him vinyl. It's happened more than once.
It has. But Jeremy did promise me a vinyl too, so
I will make it happen.
I have no problem buying the vinyl, because that's how.
Oh, I don't either.
I feel like that's supporting at that point.
Yeah.
Well, and we did CDs too, and we're dragging them out, both of them on the road. And if I'm like everybody else, I have Spotify and I have iTunes and I listen to playlists and all that kind of stuff. But if you really, if you really want to know how a band wanted you to hear their album, you got to get it on vinyl, or you got to get it on CD.
Yep, I agree.
The space in between the songs is the source of arguments. It's the source of, you're like, wait now, and it's like, and then, on our new record, there's a song, it's called Get Out of My Song. And
yeah. It's a great
we were listening to it. I was like, dude, we should do an old school, like 70s fade on this one. And we did. Like, I don't know the last time I heard a modern rock band do an actual like fade out in the song, but just little stuff like that where the songs either connect or there's space or they fade out and they fade in, whatever. But all that stuff is like part of the roller coaster ride that is an album that, hopefully.
Well, let me ask you this. When you sequence the record, do you sequence the record for CD? Do you sequence for digital? Do you sequence for an A-side and a B-side? How do you think about sequencing?
A-side, B-side, and then that ends up being perfect for a CD too, because it just takes you on a ride.
Yeah.
And we do it like we do a set list. We go, okay, we got to come out swinging, we got to go out with a bang, we got to do the slow songs kind of in the middle here and there. You start piecing it together like a puzzle, but you want it to be a ride, an emotional kind of journey. And so that's
I think the other thing with it is as just to be nerdy about the business for a second, I mean, it's just statistical. You look at any streaming, you look at any album as it streams, and your spins drop off towards the end because people don't have the attention span to make it through that whole album anymore when they spin. And what I have found is when you actually make that effort to A-side, B-side the record, it actually engages people a little bit more too, because I think for a while there, we got into the habit, when I say we, I mean the overall industry, but you get into the habit of just front loading the record. Best 4 songs are the first 4 songs. And then people are bored, like by song 7, they're flipping to something else. But when you A-side, B-side it, and you make it like 2 EPs, you actually engage people and they make it to the end of the album when they stream. Because a lot of people they don't make it that far anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Well, it's too easy now to get it. You know, you wake up one morning and it's on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh shit. And then, you know, you're driving, you know, to work or whatever, to school, and you're listening to a couple songs, then your phone rings and it interrupts you. And it's the whole process of the way you consume music is just so different now, you know. And even on a plane, you know, airplane rides used to be when I was able to just listen to music for 4 hours uninterrupted. And it's like now, well, I got to get to Wi-Fi, and then I got this on, and, you know, I'm getting text messages the whole flight. I can't listen to music. You know,
my favorite thing on flights now is just saying, oh, the Wi-Fi was down.
Yeah. Sorry. Hey man, sorry I missed all your texts.
The last flight I wrote my column, or it wasn't the last flight, it was 2 flights ago. Or 2 columns ago, I wrote my column. I do a vinyl column every week for Metal Edge, and I wrote it on the flight. And I literally ignored text messages and was like, nope, Wi-Fi is down. Couldn't get back in touch with you. Sorry. It's too much.
So that's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, and then you make the mistake of opening one of Izzy's text messages and you're blind for the next 4 hours. You're like, what did you just send me? Izzy said something yesterday, and I won't go into detail. I don't even remember what it was because I think I effectively blocked it out of my mind. But he sent something yesterday on a group chat, and I went, that is why I don't open text messages anymore.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can tell you what it was.
No, don't tell.
No. It's got a picture of a shrimp cocktail and the guy with
yes, don't. No.
Red stuff all over
stop.
his hands. He goes, every time I eat shrimp cocktail. Oh, actually, no, I won't read it because it's pretty nasty. Jeremy, I'll just send it to you.
Now you even know. Now you even know how nasty it is. Yeah, it is.
I'll just send it to you.
Have you guys ever? We were doing it last night. It's very childish, but it's pretty funny. But you go into like a restaurant or on an airplane or whatever, and you just airdrop something super weird to whoever's phone is open to airdrop. And
now I want to.
And just watch reactions happen all over the place.
Oh, that's awesome. We were on a plane. Rika and I were watching something at the exact same time, and we were laughing very hard on the flight. And like there were people like telling us we were laughing too loud on the plane. People get uptight. People get way too uptight. You actually this is actually not a plan, but you know about people getting uptight on airplanes.
Yeah,
it's one of the songs on the new album.
Yes.
Yeah, that was interesting. The best part about that, so the song is called "Kicked Off the Plane." We had the song had already been started, and we were going to come back to it that week to write the rest of the words. It's actually originally was called "Up in Flames," and we were on this layover from Chicago, and our flight kept getting canceled or getting postponed, and so we're in the Admirals Club, and just having drinks and shooting the shits the day after a show, and then we get on the plane, and everybody, if you ever go to the Admirals Club or any of those lounges or whatever, like when it's time to go to your flight, you basically take your rest of your cocktail, you pour it in a paper coffee cup, put the lid on, and then you just, half the time it's gone before you get to the gate, but sometimes you walk on the plane with it and whatever. And our guitar tech Christian he's just a little too honest and divulges maybe too much information, but for some reason the flight attendant asked him what was in his cup, and he told her, and we all had a cup with us, but it was at that height of people were just getting kicked off the plane for looking at something cross-eyed. It was It was a weird time, but on our way off the plane, they were so rude about it, so crazy about it. Also, they held the flight up for so long. Like it was like, if you're gonna kick us off, just kick us off. Like why do we have to haul all these people up for another hour? They've been waiting already 6 hours, like we have. And so on the way off, we were not very happy. We weren't being dicks on the plane. We got off the plane first, but we told the guy, we're like, we're million milers, platinum, loyal to American. I was like, our publicist is really gonna have a field day with this,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But they quickly got rid of that guy and brought over like the hot, 28-year-old hostage negotiator.
Yes.
And like she comes over, and so immediately we're like, oh,
all of a sudden Pam Anderson is your.
All of a sudden we're super friendly and nice, and so what does she do? She walks us to the Admirals Club, sits us down at the bar, and then goes and replaces our tickets with first class upgraded tickets for the next flight, which was 4 hours away. Basically, what she said was, "Hey, sit here at the Admirals Club.
Hey, sit here and drink for another 4 hours."
And then go. So the whole thing was so ridiculous, but it was funny. And we got home at 3 a.m, and our wives were pissed. And,
of course they were.
But it was all good. We got a fun song out of it.
I love the walk of shame line in that song.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you got like the perp walk and the walk of shame. It's like the nice double play on words there.
Yep. Walking the green mile, boss. I said walking the green mile, boss. One thing I learned when I was in all this travel I was doing the last couple of days, if they give you a can of Coca-Cola, you cannot remove that can of Coca-Cola from the plane. I did not know that. It's federal regulations.
Well, I don't know. Why are you drinking Coca-Cola on your plane? That's the first problem.
Because
there should have been alcohol.
Because I had to drive to fucking LA as soon as I landed.
That is weird.
Oh shit, I forgot what I was going to ask. Oh yeah. Speaking of planes and speaking of travel, how hard is this for you guys, especially with gas prices and travel and expense going up? How hard is it for you guys for touring now? I mean, is it going to be, you going to have to cut stuff, or what's going on?
Do you have a bus tour or no? I don't think there is a bus tour.
We have one coming up in the fall.
In fall, okay.
We're doing we're doing a run in October and November, and I hope some shit gets figured out between now and then. I mean, I gotta tell you, it's right now, as a lot of people probably know, but I mean, it's anywhere in the country is at least $1,000 to get to. It's double, at least double, sometimes triple, and hotels are double. The cost of getting to a gig has just gone insane, and so you're going to see a lot of people canceling.
I'll tell you flat out. He called earlier. I mean, Faster Pussycat are out now, and and it's literally right now. It's basically costing $1 a mile to go anywhere. So if you have to fly, if you're driving like 400 miles to your next gig, that's $400 right there before you pay your driver, before you do everything, before you pay. I mean, gas has just gotten to the point where it's unbelievable right now.
And a lot of dudes, like a lot of touring guys, techs, and found other gigs during COVID.
Yeah.
Especially after the second lockdown, when if a lot of bus drivers, a lot of tour managers, guitar techs, whatever. A lot of them just found other shit that's more stable and less volatile and less crazy. Yep. And but just the hard cost. The only thing that hasn't gone up is the guarantees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Everything's gone up except for the money you get paid. That actually goes down. Oh well, now
it'll be interesting,
but we won't pay you for a hotel. We won't get you a hotel room for your bus driver. We won't fill your rider the way we normally do.
Yeah, it sucks, man. You know what I would like to see? I was actually talking about this a couple weeks ago with a country artist friend of mine, but I think there were enough companies that just killed it during COVID. Whether it was alcohol companies, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there were so many companies that not only were unscathed by COVID, but actually thrived and killed it. And I feel like it'd be cool if some companies would step up and sponsor some tours and you know, have the branding and have the signage and all that, but like let's do a tour where you're paying the bands and then the fans come in and pay $20 for a ticket and $5 for parking and you know, $5 for a beer, and maybe give back to the, you know, to the people that I mean, I'm all about capitalism and everybody needs to make a buck, but now is a time where it's going to be, with inflation and everything else, it's going to be really, really difficult to put the cost on the fan. You're not going to be able to like double people's guarantees, but people are going to have to realize, well, if you're not going to double their guarantees, but you're going to double all their expenses, at some point something's going to have to give here. And you're just gonna, I think you're going to find bands are just going to stay the fuck home for a while till the shit checks out, you know? Because what else are you going to do? You're just out there.
Well, and the problem you have right now is so many bands are on the road, and this is the other thing that I think from a fan perspective, I mean, I'm very aware of it. The fans, you know, look at what we're at with inflation right now and the price of gas. And, you know, a lot of rock fans, a lot of our audience, you know what I mean? And your fans, all the bands I manage, their fans, Metal Edge readers. I mean, you have a fixed amount of expendable income a month, period, end of story. And if before COVID you had $500 of expendable income a month, you might have gone to 2 shows and had a great time twice a month. But now you've got, with gas prices going up, with lettuce costing more, everything costs more now. Now you've got $250 worth of expendable income. COVID taught you that you didn't need to go out to have fun. So now it's like people aren't spending money like they used to because they can't spend money like they used to. And you've got all these bands on the road fighting for that one ticket sale, which is the other thing that makes it brutal right now. It's rough. And
well, that's why, again, it would be great if some
the clubs don't want to spend as much money because, oh, we got an ass beaten for 2 years because we couldn't be open.
Well,
so,
yeah.
And now
they're trying to recoup, and it's costing them. They can't find help. They can't find staff, and they're you know, you get burgers and lettuce and beer delivered in a truck, and the diesel's double. And so, like, at some point, no one's going to want to pay $27 for a Jack and Coke. No one's gonna want to pay $40 for a cheeseburger, and no one is gonna.
I do that every night because I live in LA. But yeah, that's another story altogether.
But I think, you know, more package tours, like bands will start teaming up and sharing crew and sharing trucks and sharing buses and going out and hopefully finding sponsors, because people still want to go see shows and have a good time. I mean,
they need it. They need it.
I mean, here's the other thing. Went to McCartney at SoFi Stadium, and our bar tab at the end of the night was more than most people pay for tickets. I mean, every time you went to the bar, it was a double, and I'm a borderline alcoholic, so I ordered doubles. But I mean, a double is $30, $40. I mean, that's borderline. I say borderline. Borderline. But what do I have here? But it's like, but seriously, it's like a round of drinks is $100 at SoFi Stadium. I mean, that's it. You have 4 or 5 rounds of drinks. That's $500 you're spending at the bar alone. People can't afford that. I mean, that's not. And again, that's SoFi Stadium. That's not the average bar in Kansas, but still, all the prices have gone up.
Lori from Australia says be cheaper to tour Australia.
Yeah, but getting there
you got to get there.
Yeah, getting there might be a bitch. Yeah.
Does he own an airline that he can come pick us up on?
I bet it's $2,500 per round trip ticket right now.
Let's find out.
I've got a band going overseas in 2 weeks, and I was looking up flights, and we're looking at, like, literally it's close to 50. If we were to go commercial, it would be over $15,000 just to fly there. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to do 3 shows. But it's brutal out there right now.
Oof.
So you've got fall. So on that positive note, you have a fall tour coming up, Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna go out and do. We've got shows between now and then, but fall we're gonna get. We'll go city to city to city. We're gonna do a co-headlining Flip Flop Nights with Hoopstank, and we have Marcy Playground is on some. We've got
nice.
It'll be like four bands, and yeah, we'll be I think we start in Nashville and then just zigzagging our way around the planet, and we'll keep you posted.
Well, hopefully you're not zigzagging, because zigzagging means you're spending a lot of money on gas. Hopefully you're going in straight lines.
Straight lines would be better, yeah.
Straight lines.
Agents don't know that, you know.
Yeah.
Agents
Here,
are like,
we got you in Sheboygan on Friday, and then we'll throw you in New Mexico on Saturday. That sounds about right. And then we'll go to Dallas after
Only
that.
3 hours away from Sheboygan. It's like, it's a $990 Uber ride.
yeah.
Times 3, all sitting on our guitars. Yeah.
Or you've got the one where you go from Sheboygan to Minnesota to Chicago. It's like, why couldn't we go Chicago to Sheboygan to Minnesota? It's like, what the hell?
Paul, we could talk about this another time. I gotta fill you in on some math I did recently. There's going to be some shows where it's cheaper to go private.
Really?
Yeah. Oh no, it is literally. We just had. I don't want to talk about it right now on the air because it will cause a problem. But there's shows that aren't worth playing because by the time you do the bus drive and you factor in overdrives and everything else, it's just this is the economics of touring right now. And honestly, I want to blame the agents, but at the same time, the agents don't really know the economics of touring at the level of buses have gone up in price and everything else. They're not boots on the ground and know how much gas is. But by the time you factor all these things in, it's sometimes it's worth not playing a show because it costs you so much to get there and get back.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I got a story for that for off the air too. So.
Yeah. That'll be the off the air podcast.
There you go.
Dude, I got to roll, man. I got dinner waiting. I got some friends.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we can wrap up.
But I love you guys.
Jeremy, thank you. Like I said, love the record. It is fucking fantastic.
Thank you so
I think you probably made 15 cents today off me alone because it was looping all day while I was like trying to clean the house. So this big streaming money. But I can't wait for the vinyl. I've got a couple gold on the way.
For the vinyl either.
Beautiful.
I just can't wait to see that artwork the way it's supposed to be. Big. And that mouth. Never mind. But yes.
Everyone excuse us while Izzy has a moment.
Yeah. All right. Let me hit the outro music here. Paul Gargano. Follow Metal Edge Magazine on the Twitter. It's Metal Edge 85. On Instagram, it's Metal Edge Mag. And on the Facebook, it's Metal Edge Magazine. Jeremy Popoff, thank you so much. You can find him on the Instagram at Jeremy Popoff, and it's Lit Band Official on Instagram, I believe, correct?
Yep, that's it.
And I made this mistake earlier today. On Facebook, it's Lit Lounge. Lit Lounge.
Is it really still?
Yes.
Jeremy, you learned something today.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right. This has been informative.
There you go. Find me, Real Izzy Presley, all the way across the board. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And, of course, the show page is Another Effing Podcast on Facebook. And, Paul, I have new shirts available. The high-class Dapper Izzy shirts are now available.
Oh, my God.
Along with half-class Trashy Izzy shirts as well. So you can find those on the Teespring page. And soon we will have our own shirts eventually. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Anyways.
I got my hands full.
Yep. So we'll see you guys next week. If we're pre-recorded or not, we will be here. We'll figure something out. Jeremy, thank you so much. And hopefully see you when we come through Vegas or next time I come through Nashville. You know, it is what it is.
And Jeremy, I hope to move to Nashville at some point. Can you talk my wife into it?
Holler at me.
Well, I got you. All right.
All right.
All right. On behalf of Jeremy Popoff and Paul Gargano, I'm Izzy Presley. Don't you go changing.
Don't go changing.
All right, cool.